Welcome back. Today is Thursday, and that means acting analysis for animators. And today I'm going to take a look at the TV show Fringe. So today I'm looking at Fringe. It's going to be a short look, and it's going to be more, I wouldn't say theory, but it's not a specific acting moment. It's more an overall idea of staying in character. And for this example, again, this might be super picky, and I know why it's being done, and I explained to you kind of my reasons and my thoughts and ideas about it. But it reminds me of something that I saw of a student's assignment just recently, and I think it's something that you should be aware of when you animate your shot. So let's take a look at it. So this is the beginning of an episode, and I don't have to play the whole thing. I can kind of scrub through it. It's basically you have multiple people with a map. That's the recurring theme here, and a timer. And I can link the whole sequence as always in the description if you want to watch the whole thing. You'll see the build up. You have another character, another map, same thing, timer, less time on that. He goes to a different place. That probably means you're not allowed to get in there. Then you have another character, and you can see the build up too. I do want to play you this. So you have the first character with a slow walk, right? And then you have a second character. It's still a walk, it's a bit more purposeful, there's a bit more looking and potentially, I wouldn't say stress, but urgency. Then you have this character, get in there, and she's running. So there's a build up, there's more tension, the time, there's a countdown, which adds more tension, and it's consistent, so they all have the same clock. And the one I want to point out is this guy. So after all of this, after the build up, the countdown, he gets out of the cab, and if you look at him, well, obviously he has to pay, but look at how long he rests on this window. Thinking, all right, here I am, and I know this is here nicely timed too with the window so that you can see the face. Like, I know that, but it's just very slow. So after that whole build up, you have this guy that just slows everything down. Now, this seems to be important, right? Since through all of this gets worse. They're going places they're not supposed to go. It's clearly important. They're somewhere where it's cold, and running is clearly important. If it's that important, why would you risk, by the way, countdown, clock, everything, why would you risk stepping onto the road and getting hit by a car and jeopardizing the whole plan? And even then, there's no running away or swearing at the car, whatever. It's just a slow walk continuing in the middle of the road, not caring. So is this done just for added drama, to give this a bit more, urgency and action and stuff is happening? Could be, that's kind of my guess. As he continues, then they have their whole thing, they get into place, and the thing will happen, which I will not reveal. You should watch the show, it's a great show, all that stuff, it's great. He also is in the middle of the road. Again, very dangerous, but I mean, that is the place. But my main thing is that you have a build-up of walk, further walking, running. Not that this character has to sprint, right? It doesn't have to be consistent. Running is getting worse. You're gonna run through and push people away, even though you could. So why am I mentioning this? Why am I being picky and a potential turd? Again, I don't know the full reasons. I'm projecting, I'm interpreting things the way I see it. Why am I bringing this up for this acting analysis? Basically, is when you have your character, you have to look at all the acting choices within the shot or the sequence and make sure that the character is in character. I don't know if I'm quoting quotation marks, but in character. So that whatever he or she or it or whatever does, it feels like that's what the character would do. It feels natural, it feels logical, it feels something appropriate given the environment, the situation, or whatever happens to the character. And I mention this because there was a student who shall not be named, because I don't know if you want his work online, but he had a shot where he was kind of bored. The character was a human, kind of bored, and he's kind of looking at a piece of paper. It's kind of a chemist. So there were some bottles with liquid in it he put something in there, and the liquid was going down and it started to transform, but he didn't see it because he was kind of bored looking somewhere else. And then the bottles would dance around, he would look and he would be freaking out at the bottles. That's all fine. I was looking at specific hand moves where everything at the very beginning was like this, and then opening up a book. So every gesture was, I'm bored and I don't think this is going to happen, and just kind of defeat it. But when he picked up the bottle, right, to put in the liquid, it was a very forceful setting down of the bottle, which felt more like anger or frustration or just weirdly not careful because it's glass. It's, a glass vial bottle thing. And that felt weird. And then how the hand was, because the bottle is kind of shaped like this, like a big, whatever that's called at the bottom. And then the hand was kind of, if that's the bottle. Do I have a bottle here? I don't have a bottle here. I have nothing that resembles a bottle. Well, how about this? You've seen this before, my little 20,000 leagues thingy here. So imagine the bottle's higher and he was holding it here. And instead of putting it down and taking the hand off in a more like frustrated way where it just kind of plops on the table, it was a going down and then like this. It was a very smooth hand move where it felt like the animator took good care of frame by frame finger animation to get off that surface onto the table. But it felt more like you'd be caressing your pet or whatever that's more delicate. And it didn't feel like a move, a gesture that was in character in terms of that's a person that's frustrated or tired. It was a weird offset, and you could almost draw a line of that part of the body was moving, again, frustrated and tired and slowly, and then this hand was doing something totally different. Which it could be fun to have a character that's split up, almost like All of Me. Great movie. But in terms of overall animation, that's something I would try to pay attention to. And by the way, this is the only thing I want to show from Fringe. It's a great show, by the way. You should watch it. I love it. I might have to watch it again. But it's something you need to be mindful of, that when you start your shot, you need to know what is the state of mind of my character. And we talked about this before in my previous clips, where maybe keep it simple, overall, he or she's tired or excited or frustrated or angry or nervous. And then you have to look at all my acting choices should support that state of mind. And of course, your character can change throughout the shot, but every move, the head turns, all of that needs to be in support of that premise, of that story point or your character emotion. So if your character is tired and it's supposed to be tired all the time, if you have a move like this, that to me is alert or surprised or freaked out or heard something. That is just not, and I might use the term in the wrong way. To me, it's just being in character. Like that's your character and you want to stay consistent throughout the shot. So for me, even head turns in terms of animation, how you move your fingers, your hands or blinks, all that should support that emotion. And if you have suddenly different moves, then to me, at least as an audience, you might be confused. And this could be for, your teachers, or you show it to your lead or to your client. I don't know. You just got to make sure that whoever watches your shot or your sequence is always clear about the intentions of the character. And every single move, as I always say, is you got to be in control of every single frame. And if you have something that's slightly weird and off and too fast, and you go, I thought this character was supposed to be tired, then they're confused as something doesn't quite work. So again, not a very specific shot like, oh, I like this blink in this movie or TV show. It was just something that I looked at it, and again, picky, and I could be totally wrong. It's just something that felt weird. It just felt contrived that the character has to be so slow after everybody is faster and faster to build up, but mainly is that the character would endanger himself and technically the mission. If this is so important, you would try to do as much as you can to stay safe. And again, many reasons why this was done. I'm just looking at it in terms of, is this something that might be potentially confusing when you show your shot? And this could be boiled down, as I said, to something very simple. If it's just a head turn, is that head turn, that move or that blink or that grab or that put down of that bottle, just like in the student's shot, is that all telling the right story, or is there something suddenly confusing about it? And I bring that up because that's something that happens a lot. So in a lot of the shots that I see from animators, from students, is that the move might be okay, but then it's purely animated, meaning that the motion is right-ish, right? You could maybe potentially work on your ins and outs and arcs and all that stuff, but the main concentration was, I need to make the animation look good, which I totally understand. It's the pain in the butt and you got to learn this. I know this is a lot of work. And hopefully once you're past the technical, hurdles, you can think about, okay, well now I gotta think about the timing. That move looks okay, but what does that mean? What kind of emotion does that move trigger in the audience? Do they feel like they understand the character? Again, is it something confusing or not? So that's something as a student, if you're now in that territory where you're past the technical hurdles, you can have a good grasp on timing and your arcs and your pops and just the spacing, and you're okay with this. Now you really have to think about every single move or character choice, like in this example, could be potentially confusing and could be something that works against your shot. And unfortunately, all my students know I harp on this all the time. So So if any student shows me something where there's just a gesture or a very even timed head turn, first thing I want to say, I don't know, that timing looks a bit even. I don't know what that means. It's just the move, but I don't know what the feeling is. And I thought your character's supposed to be angry here. Why is he or she looking so slowly over that? One of the first things that I will mention, and if any students of mine watch this, thank you for all your patience, but I will always mention it and I'll always try to push the student to think about those choices. But hopefully now that I put this online as well, if you're watching this, hopefully it's something that you can think about and hopefully incorporate in your next shot, or maybe have a special way of looking at it, or just double check. If you do a move, is that move supporting the intention of the character and the acting choices and the story and so on and so on. I think I made my point. And that's it. It's a short one, but I thought still an important one. So if this was something that you thought was useful, as always, a like would be really appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't yet and hit that bell button, because I am uploading pretty much every day except the weekend because you need a break. And as always, if you have watched the whole thing till the very end, I really appreciate that you take your minutes out of your life, potential 10 minutes, 20 minutes. That is very kind of you. I will see you tomorrow for another chapter in the animation blocking series, and that's it. Thank you.